like maybe not vote on this poll because they're going to turn it into something big. But that's how, I don't know if desperate's the right word, but, well, maybe it is. That's how desperate they are to give the appearance, right? And that's the thing when you ask these polls, especially if you're in any of these political camps, I mean, it's just routine that you're going to get your people to, like, jam that thing so that it comes out in favor. And that, I mean, being in media, we see that anytime it's any kind of, like, gubernatorial or political or election question, right, Shawn? I mean, they will just flood that thing. Flooded it.
Yes. Yeah. First off, good morning, Sabrina. Good morning, Chris, and good morning, Jason. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would be surprised if they're not already on that poll.
Oh, they're all over it.
They do listen to your show.
Yeah. So we'll get Tomas with the results of that this morning.
He's coming up.
Right. And Shawn, we're going to get to the news, but you got a new episode of That's It, That's All that we're going to break bread with you about this morning. There you go. Shawn Gumataotao, 6:30. It is Friday, October 1st, year of the COVID 2021. Let's go ahead and do the news now.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk to Shawn.
Oh, you want to talk to Shawn? We can talk to Shawn. Okay, Shawn. Hi, Shawn. How are you?
You guys
Don't joke on that coffee,
right?
bro.
So we have to make sure we're listening to the boss here this morning.
I'm
Good
listening to the
morning
boss. That's the boss. What boss says goes. Okay, we're now talking to Shawn.
You got a great title, Shawn. You sent it to me maybe about like an hour ago, and you're like, hey, if I can come on and everything like that. But it's the election circus has already begun, right? Now, are we talking 3-ring? And you're not just talking about Guam, too, is you're covering basically the entire region.
Yeah, Jason and guys and everyone listening, it was kind of about what was happening with Guam, but we're watching what's happening in the CNMI. I've been watching a lot of the political activity that's going on in the state of Hawaii as well. A lot of friends there and been recently doing some work out there. So it's been a lot of eyeballs on what's happening relative to the gubernatorial politics. And it's all coming to the headlines, and again, we're a year out, and we'll be there in a year from now, perhaps telling the people of Guam either we have the same person leading our island or we have a new governor. So a lot of the podcast is focused on that.
Yeah, and there's a whole other political party too that exists that but they have to. There's other political party. They also have to put up a candidate.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think I didn't forget about all of my Republican friends.
Oh, the Republicans. That's it. Yeah,
it also speaks to kind of the state of that side of the house too, and,
right.
I'm just being pretty honest about it, unless because I know my phone hasn't rang, and I know a lot of other Republicans' phones aren't ringing right now relative to who's going to be jumping in the fray. Right. But I do take a little bit of a. My take on that as well.
Right on. So here you go. It's a little sniblet.
It's hard not to ignore our friends in the GOP.
Yeah, a little sniblet of Shawn Gumataotao's latest episode of That's It, That's All.
Clock strikes 1 year from an election. Everyone in the media and the political apparatus perk up. Each are looking at the days in the calendar and ticking them off one after another. For the party leaders, this is a time to reassess what direction issues and actions are taking incumbents. Party leaders are looking at options to those actions and who can be the next standard bearer. For the incumbents, this is a time to start making noise about one issue or another. Budgets are being passed, amendments being offered to the spending plan by that legislator, hoping that the act will keep them employed at this time next year. Yes, there is a whole other budget act to consider. Healthcare, public safety, education, policy that drives these three key issues. For federal lawmakers, there is the continuing resolutions or the actual authorization acts to put to a committee and eventual vote on the floor. In these hyper-partisan times, those votes will be looked at hard by many a special interest group and policy wonk in the states or territories looking to capitalize on the gain or to lambast the loss. A White House action, a Supreme Court decision, all adding to the work behind the scenes to bring about a new policy in these ever-changing times. For those considering public office, this starts the deliberative process, asking the hard question of themselves and their immediate family. Do we want to live in that glass house where our neighbors at any time can throw a rock at it? Commitment of time and money gets tossed around. Process hasn't even had its moment of thought. Just the one thought. if they had the mind and the heart ready to take on the mantle of public service.
Shawn Gumataotao, that's it. That's all. The mantle of public service.
I like that. Shawn, I got a.
What about crisis of confidence?
Yeah, wow. Let's just start there,
That's a good one.
Shawn, with given everything
Oh, I
that's
didn't say
going.
that. You know who said
Yeah,
that.
that was Congressman Nicholas had kind of called out in the chamber. And just, Shawn, tell me, how easy is it for the congressman to kind of just tee off on everything that's going on with the administration right now?
Well, I think when you saw the question delivered and then this, I don't know, you want to call it a smirk, it looked a little loaded. I think they were looking for that bit of a splash in that big meeting, because otherwise it was fairly uneventful.
Yeah.
You recall any other elements of that meeting with the chamber?
Yeah, that's what Bree and I were talking about that day. It's like, hey, was there even a meeting? Because this was like after the
Yeah.
meeting, and that's.
No, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, we think about they were there listening to something, and then all of a sudden, the only something that came out of it was we are considering it. That was the big one. We.
Who have you heard? What are you hearing? Who do you think the we?
Yeah, the we. Well, he always
Well, at
refers
this
to
point,
himself as we.
I don't know. I think it might have been on your air a couple of days ago when they were mentioning, when we think about we, who would run with them? And so if you think about the entire apparatus on the other side of the house, right, with the current incumbent, and is there anybody in that party that would jump ship to join the congressman?
I don't know.
And I think that's going to have to be, I think it's September now or October. Maybe the next month or two, there might be someone courageous enough to want to do it in these times. Who knows?
And the last time we actually saw someone jump ship, as you said, was when Francis Santos changed parties and ran with Kaleo Moylan, right, Shawn?
Right.
Right. And so that's a great point. And so I don't see anybody maybe in the current, political, that's there in front and center for a lot of different things. Obviously the top of the ticket is what drives the entire agenda, but the second person is going to help bring votes. And can they together bring enough votes in a primary? Obviously, the Democrats are always very active in the primary elections. This is the big one. This is when everyone will come out in 2022, the big general election. And yeah, it should be pretty exciting to see what happens over the next 2 months.
Shawn, I know that you had seen there was a graphic going around, I want to say it was a couple months ago, and it was like San Nicolas Terlahi. I don't know. I don't know if they were talking about pedo. I'm not sure.
Who?
He might be a little busy. I really believe that if there's going to be, if it is the speaker that's going to make the move, again, it's going to be about bringing votes.
Yeah.
Will they have enough appeal to everyone in their party to bring them under that one tent? Right now, that's hard to say.
Yeah. Anyway, that was totally unconfirmed. There was just a graphic circulating around on WhatsApp.
Oh,
What
of
about
course.
this idea of Congressman San Nicolas running with a Republican?
I think that would be the biggest mistake of his political career to do that. The people of Guam were all Democrats. They've seen, and we have all seen that they've come right to him and supported him, and he's beat some pretty formidable opponents. Why would you start now to go look to the opposition party to bring someone that'll help you run the island? I don't see any upside, and that's just not. I don't think that's going to happen. If it does, I think again it could be a tremendous loss, and it could affect him for years to come.
Man, I gotta disagree. I think that's the play. I think that they're going to do that, and I don't know. It seems like an option, and then they could say, "Hey, we just want to work together." So, because what do people want, right? They complain all the time. Why can't the governor work with the senators? Why can't the senators work with the governor? Why can't the governor work with the congressman? And then here they come.
But then why can't donors want to work with the folks who they believe are their they have their same philosophical ideas. They believe in their values. They believe in those things. And are they so far away from it? Then you might as well just ditch that idea that being a Democrat, he talks about being, okay, I want to be like my grandfather, the speaker, and I'm in his tradition, even down to the fireside stuff. You could do all those things and say those things, but if you make that push, I think that might be, cause a lot of rift, not only in family, but also just in the party itself. It just would seem that they're not organized enough, that they can't even get the right people together to lead. And I think that would be a shame if that would happen.
Well, I think I saw something on his Facebook where it was like he had run as a Democrat because of his grandfather's legacy.
Right.
But if you look at who supports him, like he's very close with the Chamber of Commerce, which traditionally leans Republican. He's really cozy with a lot of the Republican, Senator James Moylan. All right, so that's what I was kind of thinking. But you're right, with the Democrats, it's like who would run with him? I don't think any of the innies would.
And of course, there is that picture that Senator Moylan and Mike St. Nicholas took, like literally at the footsteps of the George Washington statue.
Or even my friend Juan Carlos Benitez, you can run with him. I mean, he has a picture with him all over Washington D.C. as well. So
now you're getting feisty, Sean.
any picture that he has, that's a potential running mate. I mean, I don't have any pictures with him, but if that was the case, they're running together. I mean, it could be anyone. Could be Father Felix from Joinia's church. It could be anyone.
You don't bring Father Felix into this, Sean.
I love Father Felix, but anyhow, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I got
it could be any picture
of
anybody. I mean, it could be the owner of Shirley's. It could be the owner of any restaurant in Guam. It could be just about anybody. Then everyone says, they're running mates. I mean, that's
I'm telling you, though,
thing about
keep an eye on it, Sean, because people are tired of party politics. And I mean, we're talking to a party man right now, so just keep an eye on it. With the podcast episode.
Oh no, I'm fully cognizant, Chris, but I really believe that for this to work and this type of climate, it's definitely going to need someone that's aligned with their values, and people are going to see that too.
Right. So new episode sounds like a juicy one, man. Where can they get it?
Again, they can get it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. It's on Pandora as well, the iHeartRadio app. Want to thank you guys. It's been awesome being a part of the KOM Podcast Network. I'm starting to see the effect of that on the podcast, which is great across the platforms. So the podcast network, KOM Podcast Network, is got some great programs on it. If you guys haven't had a chance, if you're listening out there, including my nephew, Nicky Chaco, who's driving to work, if you don't listen to anything else that's out there, listen to the podcast network. And there's plenty of great programs on, so I want to encourage everyone to take a listen.
Thank you very much, Sean.
And we're also running the full length version of Sean's current episode, the one you just heard, like the little snippet from. That's running later on our timeline on Facebook. So
got
you
it.
can check that out too. Good stuff.
And then also in the works, Crimes Without Convictions. Working on a new episode with Sabrina Salas Mantanani. Of course, we just welcomed Tossiata to the network with Talks with Toss.
Right.
We've got half a day's the podcast, the One Micronesia podcast, which we're gonna have a sneak peek of. And then
what about Pacific Talks? So what about that one? Is that the one? The one with
Pacific
Tomas?
Matters.
Pacific Matters. Yeah.
Pacific Matters. Yes, that's a good one too. I had a chance to listen to. Great stuff from Tomas.
Nice. Thank you, Sean.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
You too,
Keep up the good work as usual.
Have a good one.
Oh yeah. 6:42.
Wait, don't you have a podcast coming up?
Yeah, I got a podcast coming up for October. I'm doing Tatamona Tales, just special for Halloween for you guys. It covers just a lot of different stuff with Tatamonas from like a research standpoint, and then of course we go in and we share some Tatamona stories. Actually, did an episode with the island's only exorcist. That's right, we have an exorcist